All right. So what's going on, you guys? What's going on, YouTube? So I will be kicking off my top 10 my top 10 2010s decade by going with the center position first. So at number 10, this is probably going to be a surprising one for myself and most of you guys, but for one, before I do start, yes, I do have both of the Gasol brothers in my 2010s decade list. So yes, they will also be on this list. And I also want to give a honorable mention to Rudy Gobert. I had a tough time putting him in the top 10 spot, but because of how good most of these players are that I think are better than him are on this list, I think it's well deserved. And I think plus he didn't have a lot of achievements at that time. A great defender, by the way, but he is in my honorable mentions. So I will have him at the number 11 spot. But at number 10, I do have Paul Gasol. Now, the reason why I put him at 10 was, one, he did kick off the 2010s decade with the championship. Everybody knows the 2010 Los Angeles Lakers. He won an NBA championship on there by kicking it off on there. And even though the Lakers didn't win any titles after that, Gasol was still a serviceable center at the time. Despite how the league was adapting at the time, he was still serviceable in the early 2010s. So he nabbed a All-Star appearance in 2011 and a All-NBA team in an All-NBA second team in 2010 and 2011. So he was still widely considered as one of the best centers in the league, but I think by the time the game was adapting, it was very hard for him to it was very hard for teams to pick him up because of how the game is changing as far as centers like spreading out more into the perimeter and shooting more often. Not to say that Paul Gasol wasn't a good shooter, but as far as when the mid-2010s started kicking around, when the Warriors dynasty started picking up, it was very hard for other centers to really adapt and shoot all these threes and move out to the perimeter. Unfortunately, Paul Gasol was one of those I would say one of those centers that didn't really adapt as far as shooting wise, and as far as him getting older as well is another factor on why I also have him as why he's in my top 10 in the 2010s all-decade list for the center position, right? So surprisingly, I already mentioned he is a NBA champion in 2010. He was an all-star, three-time all-star during the 2010s decade, 2011, and including back-to-back in 2015 and 2016. I believe he was still on my Chicago Bulls by that time. He was a two-time all-star. So I'm surprised that he was two-time All-Star during during his Chicago days, which really shocked me. He also nabbed 3 All-NBA teams, a third team, All-NBA third team in 2010, and an All-NBA second team both in 2011 and 2015. So, yeah, I think that's really much all I can say about Paul Gasol. I think by the time he got older, when he moved away from the Bulls, he started jumping around from San Antonio to Milwaukee. He was still a serviceable player as far as playing in the paint and playing in the post, but it was, like I said, as far as the game was adapting and growing to shooting from, the 3-point line and, outside of the perimeter for players like Westbrook to drive into the lane, it was very hard for guys like Pau Gasol to really adapt that well, and the fact that he was getting older. So, other than that, he is a surprise. He's so far a surprised. He's a very good surprise for me. I didn't even know he was top 10. He was really serviceable during the 2010s decade, but I felt like it was right for him to. Put him here. But as far as the rest of these players go, I feel like as I continue on, I think everybody will understand why he's at least the top 10 for me in the 10th spot. So as I move forward onto this list, I think most of you guys might understand why he's at the 10th spot. But I will be going on to my 9th spot very soon, so stay tuned for that. And if you guys still haven't entered into the giveaway yet, just leave a comment, like I said, for my last video, and I'll know when I'll put you guys in the raffle. And by the end of this list, I will announce the winner by the end of the center list of this centers list, if the last video didn't make sense. But anyway, yeah, tell me what you guys think. I'm out.